Uh, Welcome back to Unix programming class, dear students. Today we'll learn about Unix files. So files are the building blocks of any operating system, right? So any information you would like to store, you will store in the form of files. Simply a scrap information you cannot just store like that, right? So you need to put it in a file. Any information which you would like to store in a system should be put in the form of a file, and then you will give some name to that file and store it, right? So files makes the building blocks of any operating system. When you execute a Unix command, we have already discussed that in Unix anything and everything is treated as a file itself, right? So when you execute a command, a shell, a kernel, anything, any device which is connected to your system, everything in Unix is a file. It will be stored in the form of a file. So when you execute a command in Unix kernel fetches the corresponding executable file from the file system, isn't it? We have studied that even the commands are files, and usually the commands are stored in /bin or /usr/bin directory. So they will be fetched from that directory and they will be executed. They are also in the form of files. The file will be fetched and then it will be executed to execute your command. Then after fetching, it loads its instruction text to memory and creates a process to execute the command on your behalf. So how a command will be executed? It fetches the executable command file of the command, it loads it into the memory and then creates a process. Process we have studied, right? Process is a program under execution. So when a file is executed, the program in file will be executed and that becomes a process. That is how a Unix command is executed, which is also stored in the form of a file. In course of execution, a process may read from or write to file. So, a program itself is stored in a file. When you execute that file, it becomes a process. In turn, that process may also read or write into the files, right? For example, if you are creating a file, let us say using vi command, right? We have studied you can create a file using vi command using vi editor. Let us say vif1. Vi is a command, isn't it? So let me write it. Let us say vif1. Okay, so this vi itself is a command which is stored in the form of a file, and you are asking vi command to create this file, right? So that file will be created, and see, this file is accessing this file, is communicating to this file. So when this command is executed, it will be in the form of a process, and this process is executing or interacting with this file, isn't it? So any process can communicate with or read or write into the file, isn't it? Okay, so thus the design of an operating system always begins with an efficient file management system. Any operating system to work efficiently, how you manage files. See, file management itself is a big task of any operating system, right? We have studied when we studied about the operating system functionalities, right? Operating system file management is a very important task. So how efficiently that file management is done by any operating system, that decides the efficiency of the operating system. So next we will see directories and files. So a file is a set of data that has some name, right? Anything you would like to store, any program you would like to store, or you would like to write a leave letter, you write the letter and store it. Any list of students with their marks or fees paid status, anything you would like to store, you store in the form of a file. File is nothing but a set of data, and it has some name, right? The information can be an ordinary text. Okay, so anything you can store, an ordinary text, or it may be a program, or it may be a result of computation, or it may be a picture, audio, video, anything you can store in a file, right? The file may consist of ordinary characters, digits and special tokens like underscore except the forward slash. See, a file name, how you can give a file name in Unix. See, as we said, every file is having a name for its identification. So, what characters that file name can have? The file name can have characters, it can have digits, it can have special tokens like underscore, dollar, @ symbol, hash symbol, comma, underscore, hyphen, anything it can have, but except a forward slash. We will discuss why you cannot have forward slash as a part of the file name. Next slide we will discuss. It is permitted to use special tokens like ampersand or spaces also in a file name. You can have ampersand or you can have spaces also in the file name. Unix organizes file in a tree-like hierarchical structure. Okay, tree-like, we will see that diagram. Tree-like hierarchical structure with root directory. See, root directory is the topmost hierarchy. It is indicated by a forward slash. Root directory is indicated by a forward slash. Okay, it is at the top of the tree and it is called as, that diagram is called as the parent, it depicts the parent child relationship. We'll see how it is. See, all your files in Unix are maintained as tree-like, in a tree-like hierarchical structure. It is on top of the tree there is a root. See, it is ulta, right? It is reverse. Usually the bottom of the tree is root, right? Here in our hierarchy, top of the tree is the root, and that root is indicated by a forward slash, and that whole tree depicts the parent child relationship. It is an important question paper question. Parent child relationship may be asked, or hierarchical structure of file, or how Unix maintains its files. All those questions may come, so you have to write this answer. So, this is how the hierarchy of the files in Unix goes. So, here you can see at the top there is a root, right? Root within parenthesis slash. Either you can say root or slash, both are same, both indicate the root of the tree. Okay, so you have studied about tree structures, right? You have studied in DA the how to create trees, binary trees and all. So this is that same structure. This is the main, the root is the main file from where all other files, under that all other files will be stored. See, in the next level you can see here bin, device, etc, home, library, lib, sbin, stand, temp, usr, var, all these are built-in directories. Okay, and immediately under the root what you see, all those bin, device, etc, home, etc, all of them will see what each file indicates. We will see the next slide. See, all of them are built-in directories which are residing immediately in the next level of the root. Okay, so under each of those directories we may have, see, like here, some built-in files, or you may have some user-defined files also. Okay, so here you can see we have studied this bin directory, right? So that bin directory has all command files, executable files. Here you can see cat, date, who, isn't it, under the bin directory. Then here you can see even under USR. Okay, even under USR you have a bin directory where there also you can store the command files. Okay, under this you can have some command files stored. Okay, then you can see here the home directory we have discussed, right? The home directory. Home directory means whenever a user logs into the system, a home directory will be allocated for the user from where the user will work. Okay, so under home you can see there are two users, Kumar and Sharma. They are two users who have currently logged into the system. Hence, under home you can see there are two users, Kumar and Sharma. So, under Kumar, Kumar can have his own files. Under Sharma, Sharma can have his own files. Okay. Likewise, see at the bottom most where it doesn't have any further files. See, for example, let us say Sharma is having a file called, Sharma is having a file called, let us say, F1. Okay, Sharma is having a file called F1, and that is the bottommost. Further after F1 there are no connecting files, right? See under root, see now if you want to locate F1, how will you locate? You will say slash under slash, slash means this root, under slash you will have home, this home, under home you have to completely write home, under home you have this Sharma, you will say Sharma, under Sharma you have F1 slash F1, like this. Okay, slash indicates the root, this slash indicates the root, under root you have home, so this H indicates home, completely home you have to write, as there is no space I am just writing home H, and then slash. See, whenever you go from one level to another level you need to write a slash. Okay, slash is the first slash for root, then after that for writing you write home, then to go to Sharma you will write one more slash, because from home to Sharma there is one level gap, right? So one level to another level when you have to go, you have to write a slash, home slash Sharma, then Sharma to file 1, there is another level gap, right? So you write Sharma slash F1. So F1 is the final level after which you don't have anything. So that is called as the leaf node. You have studied that, right, in trees. That is called as the leaf node. And the leaf node is the last level of the tree. Did you understand how we write? Did you understand? Let me tell you once again. Okay, let us start from, suppose under Sharma, if we have a file called F1, let us say, under Sharma we have a file called F1. How to reach that file F1? We have to start from root only. Whenever we have to reach any file, we have to start from root only. Let us say slash, slash or slash root, both you can write, both means the same. So easy to use slash, right, rather than slash root. So I will write slash, after slash I have to reach home, isn't it? So I will write home, it's not so comfortable, so I will write just H. I will write H for home, you have to write complete home. Okay, after home you need to reach Sharma, so one more slash to go to the next level, and then you say Sharma, complete Sharma you need to write. After Sharma you put a slash to reach F1, this F1, then you say F1. Okay, F1. So root, under that home, under that Sharma under that F1. That is how you write. Okay, root under that home, under that Sharma, under that F1. So whenever you have to reach from one level to another level, you have to put a slash. Okay, root to home, home to Sharma, and Sharma to F1. So this is how the hierarchy of the files in Unix is followed, and files are maintained or stored in different directories like this. Okay, so whenever you create your own files, whenever, let us say, you log in as AIT, okay, you log in as user AIT. So then under this home directory, another another file will be created called AIT. Under this home, another file called AIT will be created, which is you who have logged in. So whenever you log in, a home will be created for you, a home will be allocated for you, right? So you log in as AIT, so your home will be created, and after that whatever the file you create, now you create a file called F2, then under AIT a file called F2 will be created. Okay, now how to reach F2? How to reach F2? Slash home slash AIT slash F2. This is how you reach F2. Is this clear? Slash means root, slash home. See, first slash, then home, then slash AIT slash F2. This is how you reach the F2 file from root. Okay, that is the path for reaching F2. Specifying F2 file. The location of F2 is slash home slash AIT slash F2. Is that clear? Hope it is clear. If any doubts, please ping me. Okay, now see, in the previous slide we have seen these directories, right? Second level, the directories which are stored. What are directories? Directories are those which can store files, the collection of files, or it can store directories also, which are called as subdirectories. Okay, directories can store files or directories which are called as subdirectory. A directory which is stored under another directory is called as a subdirectory. So directory is a collection of files and directories. Okay, so the directories which are stored in this second level are all built-in directories. Let us say what are those directories, what they are storing. See, the following are the mainly commonly defined in most Unix systems. First one is etc. Just look at this. We have in this slide, we have bin, we have device, we have etc, home, lib, sbin, stand, temp, usr, and var. Okay, so these directories, what they are going to store, because they are all built-in directories, right? So what they are storing, let us see. First one is etc. etc stores system admin files and programs. Okay, etc stores system admin files and programs. Under this etc, okay, so under this etc we have discussed about etc shadow file, right, where your encrypted password will be stored. When we discussed about root login, we discussed that, right? Under slash etc slash shadow we store the passwords, encrypted passwords, that is under this etc. Okay, under etc there will be a file called shadow. So under this shadow file, the encrypted passwords will be stored. Okay, so this etc stores the admin files and programs. Next is under etc you have a file called you have a folder called password where the user information will be stored. So in upcoming discussions we will discuss these etc password and etc shadow files. They are very important files. So etc shadow file stores the passwords. Okay, etc shadow file stores the passwords. Then etc group, under etc group stores all group information. Group means a group of users can also be created. Okay, a single user may also access the system or a group of users. For example, now we are accessing our A Live Acharya Live Acharya Live platform, right? So as what you are accessing as 5th sem A section students, 5th sem B section students, right? So your group of users who are accessing that particular class. Now Unix programming class is going on. Who are all accessing? A group of users accessing the Unix programming class, right? So group of users means 5th sem A section group or 5th sem B section group, right? So like that a group of users can access a file or a directory. So that is a group. It stores all group information. So who are all belonging to 5th sem A section or 5th sem B section, what are their usernames, what are their passwords, what are their allocated classes, at what time they need to log in, who are all the faculties who are taking those classes, isn't it? So all those, what is the duration of the class, every detail will be stored in the etc group. Such group related information will be stored in etc group, right? Next we have /bin and /usr bin. We saw in the hierarchy, right? /bin and /usr bin, those are the directories which will store all system programs like cat, rm, cp, etc. all programs, as we discussed. The executable commands files will be stored in /bin or /usr bin. Okay, all commands which you execute will be stored in as a file in /bin or /usr bin. Then /sbin and /usr-sbin, do you remember? We have studied this /sbin and /usr-sbin. So these are the directories where admin commands are found. See, admin is a privileged user, right? Admin is a privileged user because admin have to create users, remove users, give permissions, look into the event logs. Okay, so all those activities have to be done by the admin. Overall management of the system will be done by the admin. So admin will have some special privileged commands which will be stored in sbin and usr-sbin. Okay, so these commands of admin for working of admin will be stored in /sbin and /usr-sbin. Then /device, /dev or /device, it stores all character and block device files. Okay, all device files which are connected to your system are present in this /device. I told you everything in Unix is treated as a file, right? So devices which are connected to your system are also treated as files. So your devices are present, where they will be present, all your devices which you have connected to your system, all drivers, all drives, all peripheral devices, IO devices, everything is stored in this /device directory. So there are two types of devices in Unix: character device file and block device file. Okay, so we will see in detail what are the character device files and block device files in the next discussions. Then we have /usr include. So you remember, you will write the C program with hash include stdio.h, hash include conio.h, isn't it? What are they? They are header files, right? So here this include also will store some header files. Okay, so this include under the USR directory, it will store the header files. So those header files are stored in include, USR include. Then we have /usr lib. So what is this /usr lib? It stores all standard libraries. Okay, it will store all standard libraries. So standard libraries in the sense all your C library, you know that, right? What C library contains? It contains all the built-in tokens and keywords and its meaning, and also the built-in functions. It will be present, right? So here also in standard libraries the built-in functions are present. Then we have /tmp. /tmp or /temp, it stores all temporary files, isn't it? When you download something from the internet, a temporary file will be created, right? So all such temporary files will be stored in /tmp directory under the root. Then we have /var. So /var stores all print jobs. Okay, so it, whenever you give something for printing, some file for printing, that print job will be stored in this /var, and also incoming and outgoing mails will also be stored under this. Okay, incoming and outgoing mails will also be stored in this /var. So these are all the different files. Okay, these are all the different built-in files which are coming under root. That's why you see in all these files beginning there is a slash, because they are coming under root. Okay, so all these are coming under root and they are all built-in functions, built-in files which will be used for storing different information. Then the types of files, different types of files, let us discuss. So now we have seen that everything and anything in the Unix is stored as a file. So can we store everything in a folder? Everything, like all the program files, all the command files, all the device files, everything can we put in a single folder? No, right? So different types of files are kept under different folders, categorized, right? So what type of files we have under Unix? What are all the things which are considered as files? Let us see. A Unix file system may be one of the following types. A file in Unix file system may be one of these following types. What are they? First type is a regular file. Okay, so we will study all these files in detail in the next slides. Just let us look at the types of files. A regular file, a directory file means a folder file, then FIFO file, character device file, block device file. We studied that, right? Under device files, these are the two categories, character device file and block device file. Then the link files. Okay, so these are the different types of files we come across in Unix. It is a very important question paper question. The previous one also, parent child relationship is important. Now here we are discussing the file types. These are also very important questions. Okay, file types in Unix are regular files, all different files under Unix are divided under these categories: regular files, directory files, FIFO file, character device file and block device file. Okay, next let us see in detail all of them. Let us take the regular file. So what is this regular file? A regular file may be a text file or it may be a binary file. So what is the meaning of this? Text file or a binary file? Text file means some text. Text means it is collection of characters, isn't it? Characters means alphabets, digits, special symbols, etc. Right? So text file means it contains some information. If you write a letter, if you write a program, if you write a list, then all it comes under the text file. Binary file means it is containing binary information. It will not be in the readable form. Okay, if you open a file also, sometimes the system may be corrupted. You shouldn't try to open a binary file. Okay, a text file is a text, it contains textual information. A binary file may be a audio file or a video file or any executable file like your commands in Unix. Okay, so any such files are stored in the form of binary, which is called as a binary file. So your regular file may be a text file or a binary file. Okay, a text file or a binary file. These files may be read or written to by users with appropriate access permissions. Okay, so you can read the contents of these files or you can write into these files, but you should have proper permission, read and write permission you should have. We'll discuss about the permissions also in the later classes. Okay, so appropriate permission you should have to read or write the text file or the binary file. Regular files may be created. What you can do with regular files? You can create a regular file, you can browse, means read the content of the file, you can modify, means you can update, you can change the contents of the file by various means such as text editors or compilers. Okay, using those you can change the contents of the files also. They can be removed by specific system commands. Okay, you can remove them by some specific system commands. You can create, you can modify it, you can read, and also after that if you don't feel that file is worth keeping, then you can delete that file also using a command called rm for remove. Okay, remove is a command which is used for removing a file. Let us discuss that also. So now the directory file. Okay, the directory file. A directory, it is like a folder. Okay, in Windows we call it as a folder, right, that contains other files including subdirectories also. I told you a directory is a collection of files and subdirectories. It provides a means for users to organize their files into some hierarchical structure based on file relationship uses. That means, see, like why we should create directories? We should create directories for categorizing our files. See, every file we cannot put in a single directory, right, single folder. You will create a directory called CSE. Under CSE you will have all your collections, 3rd sem, 4th sem, 5th sem, all materials, isn't it? So under CSE you will create a folder called 3rd sem, 4th sem, 5th sem, and in 3rd sem, 4th sem, 5th sem you will have all the subjects related folders, subfolders, subdirectories they are called as, right. So under 5th, okay, now let us take here in 5th sem, let us create a folder called 5th sem. So then under 5th sem you will have all your subject folders, like you have USB, you have ATC, you have MND. So all those different folders you will create, right. So all those different folders you will create, and in each folders, let us say, let us go to Unix programming folder. Under Unix programming folder you will have subfolders, subdirectories like notes, you will have videos collection, you will have question paper collection, isn't it? So those are all subfolders, right. Under question paper subfolder you will have Jan December 2020, then Jan December 1919, Jan December 2019, isn't it? So like that, all different question papers, different year question papers files you will save, isn't it? So under 5th you will have all your subject folders like USP, ATC, M&E, etc. Under USP, let us take, you can store these details in all the subject folders. Under Unix programming, if you take, you will store PPTs, you will store notes, you will store videos, you will store question papers, you will store question bank, what not, course file, lesson plan, isn't it? Everything you will store under that. Okay, so that is subdirectories and files. That's why we create the directories, so that we can categorize the file into different categories, and it is easy for us to manage and access, isn't it? That's why we create the subdirectories. Suppose if you create a single directory and you put everything, all PPTs, all notes, all question papers of all semesters in a single folder, will you be able to access it easily? No, right? Managing becomes difficult. That's why we create different folders and subfolders, directories and subdirectories for categorizing the files. Example, /bin directory contains all system executable programs, isn't it? Like all your commands, cat, rm, sort, cp, echo, etc. All these command files are stored in /bin. A directory may be created in Unix by a command called mkdir. Okay, a directory may be created in Unix by a command called mkdir. We have seen, see, regular file how you can create using vi command. Okay, you can also create regular files using cat command. I'll show you how to create a file using cat command. Now to create a directory, there are different commands to create a directory and regular file. Okay, a regular file is text file or a binary file, and you can create the text file using or a binary file using a command called vi. Okay, vi and cat also. Using cat command also you can create the file. Let us see how you can create it. But how to create a directory file? We are creating a directory file using mkdir command. Okay, mkdir command. So let us see an example. Let us say mkdir us/usr means under root we are usr is already there. Under usr you are creating a folder called subdirectory called foo. Under foo you are creating another directory called xyz. Okay, this is how you create a directory. You give a path. If you don't give a path, simply if you say mkdir xyz, your directory will be created under your current working directory. In which directory you are working, there it will be created. But if you give this entire path, in that path only the directory will be created. Wherever you want to create, give that path. If you don't give path, simply you give the name of the directory, your current directory, in your current directory, the directory will be created. Okay, that is how you create a directory. I will show you execution of mkdir. Then next command is rmdir. rmdir stands for remove directory. See, simply if you use rm, it will remove the files. But if you use rmdir, then it will remove the directories. There are different commands for files and directories. Okay, rm will remove the files, rmdir will remove the directories. Then the content of the directory may be displayed by ls command, right? The content of a directory can be displayed by the ls command. So now let us create a directory under home, because when you enter into the system you will be there under home directory, right? Under home let us create a directory AIT. Under AIT let us create CSE. Under CSE let us create 5th sem. Under 5th sem Unix. Under Unix notes. Under Unix let us create files. Okay, under you notes we will create files. See, these are all directories. Okay, till here, till this notes. Okay, these are all directories. Okay, these are all directories. This M1, M2, sorry, M1, M2, M3 are the files. Okay, M1, M2, M3 are the files. All these are the directories. M1, M2, M3 are the files. So, shall we create this in this hierarchy? See, whenever you enter into the system, you will be there in the home directory. Under home directory, let us create AIT directory, CSE directory, 5th SEM directory, Unix directory, subdirectories, all these are, okay. Then notes directory. Under notes directory, let us create 3 files, these 3 files M1, M2 and M3. Okay, so let us create and check how you can create it, and also we will try to remove. Okay, so let us see. Okay, let us see. I told you, no, you can create file using cat command. Let us see how you can create a file using cat command. So let us say cat. What is cat command? Cat stands for concatenation, right? Cat stands for concatenation. This command is used for displaying the contents of the file, but you can also use this for creation of the file. So how you create the file using cat command is cat redirection. Okay, redirection symbol and name of the file. Okay, let us say name of the file is F5. Okay, name of the file is F5. Let us say cat redirection F5. Simply if you say cat F5, what will happen? It will display the contents of the file F5. Okay, so F5 is already there. Let us take some other name. Okay, so cat F5 means contents of F5 file it will display. So I have stored the contents of date command in F5. So let us check whether cat F10 is existing. Okay, F10 is not existing. Okay, so when you say cat F10, it will give you error message that no such file or directory. That means F10 file is not existing. So let us create a file called F10. See what happens when you try to create a file with already an existing name, then it will overwrite the contents of the file. So you should be careful. First you check whether that file is existing or not, then you try to create the file. Okay, so let us say clear. Now cat redirection. See why I am redirecting? I don't want to display the contents of the file on the screen, but I want to create a file. Let us say F10. Okay, cat redirected to F10. Press enter. Then it will not show you anything. It will not give you the dollar prompt also. Rather, it is waiting for your input which need to be stored in F10 file. Okay, cat command now is waiting for your input to be stored in the F10 file. So what you can say, let us say hello, welcome to Unix programming. Programming is fun, or whatever you want you can type. Any content in the file you type. Okay, so now I want to store hello, welcome to Unix programming. Programming is fun. These contents I want to store in F10 file. Okay, see I have given here cat F10 and these contents I have stored. So now if you keep on pressing enter key, it will give you the lines to blank lines to enter your content. Now how to finish storing the content into the file? By using Control D to stop the data input. Okay, now you got the dollar prompt, right? Press Control D to end the data input to be stored into the file. Okay, so now it will give you the dollar prompt. Fine. So now you want to check whether file is created or not. F10 is created or not. Then say ls. Okay, F10 is created, right? F10 is here. Right, F10 is here. Below this F1 you can see this F10 is there, or simply you can say ls F10. Then it will tell you whether F10 is present or not. If it displays F10, F10 is present. So if you say ls F100, it will say cannot access F100, no such file or directory. That means F100 is not existing. Clear? So when you say ls some file name, if that file name is again displayed, it indicates that the file is present in your system. Okay. So let me clear the contents. So that is how you create the file. Let us see whether the file contents are stored. How to see the contents of the file? Cat, let us say F10. So now it will display, cat command will display the contents of the file F10. See, hello, welcome to Unix programming. Programming is fun. When you say cat F10, it will display the contents of the file F10. But when you use cat command with redirection symbol, it will create a file. Okay. So it is easy to create a file on the command prompt, command line. So that is how you create a file. Now let us see how you can create a directory. To create a directory, we saw that the command is mkdir, right? So let us find where we are currently, in which directory we are currently present. How to check in which directory we are currently working? Using a command called pwd. Okay, now we are under home. See here, we are under home directory, right? We are under this home directory. We are under home directory. So because I told you, whenever a user logs into the system, home will be allocated for the user. So we are under this home directory. So now under this home directory, whatever the directories we create, that will be created. Okay. So let us create the directory. So we have to create that AIT, CSE, 5th Sem, Unix, notes, under notes M1, M2, M3 files, right? So we have to create that directory. Okay, let us say how to create a directory. mkdir space AIT. That is the directory we need to create. Press enter. Is it created? Yes. If there are no errors displayed, it is created. In which case you may get an error? In the case where AIT is already present, a directory called AIT is already present, or a file named AIT is already present, then you may get an error. Or if you don't have permission to create a directory, then also you may get a error. Okay. So now no errors, so directory is created. How to check whether it is created or not? Let us say ls. See, AIT is created, which is the first one, and you can see the color of AIT is blue in color, right? That means it is a directory. All other names are in white. F10, F2, F5, new, script 1, new 2, script 2, ls file 2, all those are in white color, right? But AIT is in blue color. That means it is a directory. Okay, AIT is a directory. So let us create one more directory. Let us say mkdir Acharya. Where it will be created? It is not created under AIT, okay, because we have not entered into AIT. We are still under home only, isn't it? We checked where we are. We are under home directory. So when you say mkdir Acharya, then Acharya directory will also be created. So let us see, both are there, right? AIT and Acharya, both are there in blue color, they are directories. So mkdir is used for creating a directory. Now how to create a subdirectory under AIT? For doing that, you can say cd space AIT. Okay, cd space, cd stands for change directory. Now you are under home directory. So from home directory you would like to go to AIT, which is under home only again. Okay, so you want to go to AIT directory which is under home. So you say cd AIT. So now no errors. So it is changed successfully. You want to check where we are now? To check where we are now, say PWD. See now, here under home we are under AIT, right? We previously we were under home, that was the last directory, but now as we change to AIT, CD AIT, now under home AIT has come. Okay, now under home AIT we have created and we have changed to it. Now we have entered into AIT directory. Okay, now under AIT we have to create CSE, right? So let us say mkdir make directory CSE. Now under AIT, because we have entered into AIT, so under AIT a subdirectory will be created called CSE. So let us check whether it is created. See now, there are no files, no other directories displayed with ls because we are under AIT. When you go back to home, all those files and directories will be displayed. But when you are into AIT directory, there is only one subdirectory called CSE. Okay, now you can create a file also here, cat, let us say AA. You type some random contents, Control D. Now this AA file is also created under AIT. Let us say ls. Now file AA and folder CSE, directory CSE, both are present under home AIT, home/AIT. Okay, so that is how you create a directory. Okay, now we have completed the time of our class. Can you take it as a assignment? Okay, I have told you how to create directory and how to change the directory and enter into that directory. So create this directory, try to create this directory yourself. We will discuss in the next class. Okay, this directory, home AIT CSE 5th Sem Unix notes. Under that you create 3 files, M1, M2, M3, module 1, module 2, module 3. You know how to create the files and directories both, right? So try to create them. We will discuss them in the next class. Okay, you can use mkdir, you can use to create the directories, you can use cat for creating the files, and you can use cd to enter into the directory. Okay, try to create them. This path you try to create. We will discuss how to create it completely in the next class. Okay, thank you. We'll meet in the next class. Bye bye.